Well, Shane Churla has just skated off the ice. You can see him there. He has picked up 2 for interference. There's 27 Churla right there. He got Adam Oates when Adam Oates really didn't have the puck, and Oates swung around and slashed him. So along with the interference penalty, Churla picked up a 10-minute misconduct. That's why he left. Adam Oates simply picked up the 2 for slashing, 16-13 of the second.
So the team's at full strength again. North Stars with only 4 shots on goal in this period. They've not scored, but it is a tie game at 2. St. Louis has come up with 10. Dave Gagne, described by St. Louis coach Brian Sutter, as good a two-way center as this league has. He's in to take the draw against Basson. Puck to the back. Glynn a shot, and that went wide. Moving in is Chambers. Chopped from him by Tomlinson. Followed up by Basson and just laid across. Garth Butcher, the first one to get to it. Butcher wedged off by Glynn after he tapped it to the corner. Tomlinson into battle with Gaetan Duchesne. To the boards, they work for it 2 aside, and Bill McCreary blows the whistle, halting play. McCreary has been very quick to do that, and I would think that the players would note who has a quicker whistle than others. It becomes a factor just like in penalties on who the guy is, and it depends a little bit on how the game unfolds. As to how guys react to it.
I think that's a big factor, how he's calling it in a given game. So look at John Casey's stick blade. You might be able to tell that it's absolutely straight. Same thing for Vincent Riando, and there's a good reason for it. When he shoots, he has to turn around and shoot it with the side that is usually against the toes of his skates. When he gets in a set position, it's the backside that he has to shoot with. So if there was a curve, which would be out, he would be shooting on the forehand on the backside of his curve. Same thing for Riando. So they're both forced to use a straight blade, unlike most goalies in the league. A lot of guys have a slight curve at least, some a big curve.
Here's Stu Gavin moving in. Chased off by Butcher. Sutter spins it back, and Dahlquist takes over. 3:10 to go. Second period, game tied at 2. Bellows drives it around, but it is picked up by Paul Cavallini. He brings it back for the Blues, just popping one to the corner. On one hop back to play it was Dahlquist as a couple of players cancel. Moving on is Bellows. 2-on-2, a very deliberate one as Bellows is sized up by Butcher. Can't get through because Cavallini came over to help out. Passes one that's too far for Basson. Glynn, though, left it for Basson to play. Feeds for Sutter, and it's kicked back out again by the goaltender, John Casey. And ahead with this now comes Bobby Smith. Smith pestered all the way by Lowry and then walled by Scott Stevens. Clock ticks down to 2.5. Craig with a big hit that time on Lowry. In to get it, Bellows. Centered one, spiked down by Butcher. Flipped it into Bobby Smith, though. Deals it behind for Bellows. Tried to center one, but it's taken by Basson with 2:20 to go here in the second. Players are down in a heap. Bill McCreary has signaled a penalty against St. Louis. This is all on a delayed call, and Rich Sutter has tangled up with the North Star player so that he can't get loose and get back. But it'll be a holding call that Bill McCreary has signaled.
I can't imagine he's not going to even it up, though.
Sutter seems to be the only one headed off, and that's it. It's a hold, so Minnesota will emerge with a power play.
Well, that makes sense. I thought he was originally going to call it against Minnesota, and I saw Rich Sutter holding, and I thought he has to even it up and call one against St. Louis, but that was the only one that he had seen.
Sutter holding at 17:49, Minnesota's 4th power play of the contest.
Most of the Blues players and coaching staff felt that Dennis Morel could have called some penalties, and should have called some penalties when Brett Hall was being dragged down in Game 1. Bill McCreary here in Game 2 really hasn't had occasion to call any when Brett Hall has been dragged down. I think Hall has been a lot more open here in Game 2 than he was in Game 1. Gavin and Gaetan Duchesne haven't been nearly as close to him. And remember how this game started? A little bit wide open. Great chances back and forth, end to end. The boards are taking a beating now.
They sure are. 2:11 to go in this second period. Most of that time, unless there are further penalties, will be spent with St. Louis having to kill off. Power play number 4 to Minnesota. The North Stars use Gagne with Propp on the right. The left point will be manned by Broughton, at least at the start. And Tenorti will be on the right side, and the other North Stars winger is Mike Craig. Craig really given a jolt by Butcher. Puck picked up, though, by Prop. Gives it over to Tenorti, and a shot, a rising shot off the glass. Butcher to the corner. Tangles up with Gagne. Puck sped over to Mike Craig again. Craig points it over to Tenorti. Quick hand off over to Broughton. Dishes to Tenorti once again. Then over for Broughton once more. Plenty of time in which to work. Broughton waits. Finesses back across to Gagne. Hammers one. Save, rebound. Sent wide by Prop. Spinning is Craig. Trying to tuck it behind. Good denial by Prop one Tomlinson. Prop trying to jam it away. Still can't do it. Stevens wanting to hold. Off the back of the goal. Butcher has some room. Can't clear it out. Second effort does. And back down it goes. Blues in the midst of a change. Puck worked hurriedly over for Broughton. Then back up for Gagne. Checked right off by Butcher. Back to play is Craig. Craig centered one and Stevens fought it off. Prop goes down. Stevens behind. Taken to the boards by Gagne. Mike Craig up with it. Feeds for Broughton. Oh, and he couldn't get it home. 50 seconds still to go on the power play. Broughton with perfect position out in front. Back with it now comes Bellows. Moving on. Hands over for Bobby Smith. Smith feeds one for Prop. Poked away by Lowry. Off of Tenorti. Lowry goes over to get it. Drills it off Tenorti and back down. 40 seconds left in the period. 25 seconds left on the power play. And an offside pass brings a whistle and a stoppage of play.
Well, there have sure been some less than pretty goals scored in this game. Stu Gavin had a wraparounder 26 seconds into the tilt. Mark Bureau kicked one into his own net for a St. Louis power play. But the prettiest play that did not result in a goal so far in this game right here. Craig threw to Broughton. Where did he hit? I still don't know if that, I think it hit the post down low. Either that or Riendo's skate coming over. I can't believe Neil Broughton didn't shelf that, though. I mean, he had a lot of time. You've got to know that if Riendo does get over there, he's going to come low. Just cut it a little too fine. Hit the post. Yeah, we hear you, Neil. He had all kinds of time and all kinds of net. The pass from Craig was brilliant. No, it hit the post. Good angle, folks. Right off the post.
Undoubtedly what he and Gagne are talking about and shaking their heads about right now. On the offside pass, the faceoff comes a good distance away from Vincent Riendo, 120 feet or so back. Bobby Smith to take the faceoff with Adam Oates. 25 seconds still left on the power play. 36 seconds to go in the second period. Harold Sneps corrals it. Flips it back down, and so the North Stars will have to get hurriedly set. Brian Glenn, pestered by Oates. Puck to the corner. Fed for Oates, and he shoveled one wide. John Casey running a little interference as it's worked back up for Bobby Smith to carry. In 3 seconds, out of the box will be Sutter. Moving in is Smith. Teams are back at full strength. Harold Sneps back to play it in the final 8 seconds of the period. Puck flipped ahead, too far for Sutter back down. Sean Chambers back to get it, and this will do it on the period. Good hit on Chambers by Sutter. He comes back with the stick. Bob Gainey and Brian Sutter both felt that things would get a little more furious as the series developed, and it has become surly here. 2 periods have been played, and these two teams are even. 2-2. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight from the arena in St. Louis on Sports Channel.
Ordinarily, I find weekends mowing with my snapper to be a rewarding route to ego gratification. Unfortunately, Mother Nature does sometimes intercede.
Hi. Mowing calls on a can of rain? How about some company?
Which only serves as a reminder that one must not neglect the social animal within.
Snapper walk mowers starting at $299.95 at these local Snapper dealers.
Full quick start, and check out this 21-inch mowing deck and 6-speed on-the-go shifting and...
The Lakeview Resort and Conference Center, just 90 minutes south of Pittsburgh, where you'll find two of America's finest championship golf courses. Now you can take advantage of Lakeview's summer golf packages that include breakfast, unlimited golf, carts, an excellent room, dinner, plus use of all Lakeview facilities. Call Lakeview toll-free. Ask about our summer golf packages. Lakeview Resort and Conference Center. It's the easiest drive in golf.
Welcome back to our Stanley Cup studios in New York. I'm Bob Papa. Blues and North Stars tied up at 2 apiece at the end of 2. It is a close game thus far. We'll keep you posted on that one. And later on, starting in about 10 minutes, it's the Los Angeles Kings and Edmonton Oilers. Here with a preview of Game 2, Pat Foley and Dale Talon.
The LA Kings have never won a second-round playoff series. They're 0-6 when they've gotten past the first round so far in the NHL playoffs. But, of course, they captured Game 1 with that overtime goal being scored by Luc Robitaille. They'll be hurt a little bit tonight, though, Dale. One of their fine players, their good centerman, Steve Kasper, is unavailable.
Well, Steve Kasper suffered a concussion. He's played greatly in the playoffs. He's been an offensive threat, and he's played strongly as a defensive forward. He's one of the better defensive forwards. They'll miss him. On the other hand, the Edmonton Oilers will play Grant Fuhr, coming off a red-hot series against Calgary. They'll also maybe have Kevin Lowe in the lineup, and for sure they'll have Joe Murphy. Joe Murphy will center the kid line with Gelinas and Graves, and that line was responsible in a big way for them winning the Cup last year.
And the Game 1 in this series was a rather chippy affair. I think we both had the opinion when we left there was a lot of stick work going on. It got very unfriendly as that game went along.
Well, there's a lot of stick work, and I think a lot of people on the Edmonton side are a little upset with the shenanigans that went on. They were not very pleased with what Gretzky did after they scored the winning goal. So I think they're going to see the Oilers go after Gretzky a bit more.
And he is not used to that. We saw him get run over by Craig Simpson in Game 1 and really took exception to it.
Well, he was very unhappy about it. He does not get hit very often. I thought Gretzky in the first 2 periods looked like he was a bit tired. You don't ever see him get hit, and when he does get hit, he is not really 100%. But in the 3rd period, he played very well, seemed to come on and set up the tying goal and the winning goal. So he'll have a tougher time tonight, I would think.
And so will the rest of the LA Kings. The Edmonton Oilers will start Grant Fuhr, and we'll get ready to bring it to you, Bob, in just a little bit.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. And don't forget, we will join that game in progress following the Blues and North Stars, and we'll keep you posted on the scoring during the 3rd period of the Blues and North Stars. More of the Stanley Cup playoffs after this timeout.
I used to have dandruff, so I tried Head and Shoulders. Then I tried Selsun Blue. Blue is better.
Selsun Blue relieves dandruff flaking better than Head and Shoulders, and doctors recommend it more than Head and Shoulders, Denerex, and Tegrin.
Blue is better.
Selsun Blue.
Inside your smooth-running engine is a torture chamber. And under these grueling conditions, only one leading motor oil meets the world's toughest requirements for viscosity breakdown. Castrol, the only leading motor oil that provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol. After all, why make things tougher on your engine? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars.
When your office is 200,000 acres of rugged woodland, and you train the men who prevent anything from happening to it, you can't depend on just any deodorant. Men count on Old Spice deodorant. It works to prevent odor, to neutralize it before it starts. There's nothing else this effective with the clean classic scent of Old Spice.
Hi, Aunt. Come stay at the office.
You bet. Old Spice deodorant, because prevention is the ultimate form of protection. Count on it.
Here are the first-round winners and the fans' choice for MVP. In the Campbell Conference, rock-solid defense and a tough work ethic make Detroit's Brad McCrimmon the top vote-getter with 22% of the vote. Brad barely beat out Wayne Gretzky of the Kings, who had 21%. In the Wales Conference, perennial all-star Ray Bourque of the Boston Bruins garnered 20% of the vote to finish ahead of Washington goaltender Don Beaupre. Don't forget to vote for your MVP in the second round. Call 1-900-896-2333. You must know your MVP's team and jersey number.
When it's heartburn plus gas, get new Tums Plus. Calcium-rich antacid relief plus gas-busting Simethicone.
No other antacid gives you that.
New Tom's Plus.
When sports cream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why sports cream? Massaging sports cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why sports cream? Because it works.
Over 28 million adults get athlete's foot.
I'm Jim Bird. I had athlete's foot until I used NP27. It has an ingredient recommended by doctors.
Look, NP27 stops the burning, itching of athlete's foot fast.
NP27. Nothing's a better cure for athlete's foot.
Welcome back. The longest-running National Hockey League playoff show added another dramatic chapter last night at the Boston Garden. Our own Jiggs McDonald and John Davidson were on hand.
Well, the series between the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins all even now at a game each, thanks in large part to the play of Stéphane Richer.
Well, certainly one of the best offensive players that Montreal has, Jiggs. He did get 6 shots on goal in this game, including the game winner in overtime. And when Stéphane Richer decides to charge it up offensively, certainly Montreal has a better chance of winning, and Montreal scored 4 of the last 5 goals in this game.
Canadians were trailing, come back to tie, trail again, and then it's Richer who gets the game all even midway through the third period.
Montreal went to the net a lot in this game, and here you see Richer scoring before he's moved out. Prior to that, Skrudland had driven to the net, and Richer did a lot of celebrating in this game.
Didn't take 30 seconds of overtime to declare a winner, and again, it's Richer.
And once again, Skrudland was in on it. Here's Shane Corson getting it back to Richer, who was left alone, and he jammed it in past Andy Moog. Both his goals came from the same spot, and he deserved to celebrate after that one. Montreal climbs back in to tie this series up at 1.
At the end of one period, Montreal trailed. You see the celebration as they come back in the goal by Richer to win Game 2 by a score of 4-3. And this best-of-7 series will go back to Montreal, even at a game each.
All right, and Jiggs and J.D. will be at the Forum in Montreal. The Bruins have won 2 of their last 3 playoff series with the Canadiens. Game number 3 comes your way Sunday night. The Bruins and Canadiens, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Check your local listings. Also, the Patrick Division Finals, game number 3. It shifts to the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland. The Penguins and Capitals tied up at 1 game apiece as well. 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Check your local listings. Well, that wraps it up from our studios in New York. More of the 1991 Stanley Cup playoffs after this timeout on Sports Channel America.
I'm Bob Knoll. My official title is Head of Auto Testing for Consumer Reports magazine, but I really work for you. Every year, my staff and I report on over 140 models, specifically with your needs in mind. So when you shop for a car, you'll know if it's safe and reliable, how it's equipped, how it performs, and whether it's cramped or comfortable. And there are over 200 people who work for you at Consumer Reports. We test and report on everything from toothpaste to TVs. And since Consumer Reports is nonprofit and accepts no advertising, we're able to give you the unbiased truth about products. Right now is a good time to try Consumer Reports because you can get a free trial issue with no strings attached. Here are the details.
Call now for your free trial issue of Consumer Reports. Learn how products compare, which give you the most value for your dollar, and which are best for your specific needs. Consumer Reports gives you information like which fast food lunch had the least fat, which VCR had the best picture quality, which oil filter best protects your car, which laundry detergent delivers what it promises, and which bank really helps the money pile up. Consumer Reports rating system compares products by brand name. You'll know who the reliable manufacturers are, which models have the features you want, plus all the pros and cons, including price. Call now for your free trial issue, then decide. When the bill arrives, pay it and get 11 more issues, 12 in all, including the annual buying guide issue for just $20. Or write cancel on the bill and owe nothing. And with your paid subscription, you'll get 2 free books, our 1991 buying guide issue and the updated New Medicine Show.
And your paid subscription includes the annual auto issue with new car ratings, repair records, and crash test results. So put Consumer Reports to work for you. Call now.
Call 1-800-634-6500. 1-800-634-6500.
Well, they've gone at each other pretty hard through the first 40 minutes. 2-2 the score between the Minnesota North Stars and the St. Louis Blues. That second period featured only one goal, but boy, a bunch of great hits out there.
You have to know the hitting will continue. I mean, the score of the game very often dictates what style of play you're going to see. It will be tight, and really the score is going to allow both coaches to demand something that they always demand of their players, and that is the work ethic. I mean, Brian Sutter wants his guys to outwork the other guys, and Bob Gainey wants his North Stars to do the same thing. So a lot of hitting and a whole bunch of hard work ahead in the third period.
Just wondering if St. Louis will be reviewing this footage on how to solve their power play woes. Take a look at this one. This is the power play goal the Blues have been waiting for so long.
Well, I got a feeling when they look up the definition of ugly in the dictionary that there'll be a little video cassette of this power play goal. Mark Bureau ended up kicking it in. You'll take them any way you can get them when you've been as cold as the St. Louis Blues have.
Then Neil Broughton, late in the period, had the great chance to put his team ahead and got the iron instead. And I'd say the same thing and shake my head the same way. But he may be raising his stick again before the night's over. We'll see. Third period coming up. You know, the scoreboard here, which predates the Blues, has caused some timekeeping problems in both of the last two games. Fortunately, a stopwatch is kept by the off-ice officials. And the last game timekeeper Elliot Knight from Washington, who's working again here tonight, caught the fact that the scoreboard clock was going too fast. 13 seconds different than the watch that he has. Both teams were advised and the clock was reset, and there weren't any problems the rest of the way after they plugged in an auxiliary power pack. Against Detroit in Game 7, within the scoreboard clock, a little cogwheel wore down and chose that time to wear down. The clock flipped from 20 seconds down to 9 instead of 19. And again, the stopwatch, which is always kept as a backup in the regular season and playoffs, saved an embarrassing situation for the arena and the league. A new scoreboard needs to be purchased here. John Casey has faced 19 and has buckled only twice, and one of them went off one of his own teammates. Vincent Riendeau has faced 14 and has stopped 12. No carryover power plays into this third period, so the team's at even strength as Mark Tenorti slides the puck back across for Dahlquist. Shovels over for Bellows. This one dropped back off. Paul Cavallini goes to get it. Cavallini able to turn away. Flips one ahead. Rich Sutter is there. Drops for Oates. Oates drew back and wanted to shoot, but didn't. Now Butcher able to peel away from Dahlquist. Flips one in front that's spiked wide by Tomlinson. Tenorti jams it on for Bellows. Bellows floating it back out. Paul Cavallini turned into trouble there, but got a break. Dahlquist now back for Bobby Smith. Smith with a drive, and that turned aside by Riendeau. Dropped behind by Dahlquist. Bellows let it go. So stepping to this one is Rich Sutter. Sutter passes on for Butcher. Turns it back off. Brushed aside by Broughton. Broughton wheels right back, one-on-one with Cavallini. Broughton spinning as both teams making a change. Neil Broughton with a pass. Craig with a shot, smothered out by Basson. Turn to the glass, and Lowry cancels out with Duchesne. Mike Craig, the rookie, hands it on back for Chambers. A minute gone here in the third period. If you're just joining us, the game tied at 2. Some trouble there, but Craig recovers. Just flicks one off the glass. Riendeau sets it up behind.
Brian Sutter starting this third period with the same type of setup as he did the game. Had Adam Oates there without Brett Hull to start this period. Now Hull is out there without Oates. He's got Bob Basson at center, but Duchesne now in the third period with the score tied. Absolutely tight to Brett Hull right in front of the benches.
Puck chipped along by Craig. Basson tested there by Broughton, coming by as Craig again. And they wedge it to the boards and play stopped once more with 18:22 to go in the third.
You know, shadowing is the easy part of the job. It's the other people that are out there with the Gaetan Duchesne that really have to read what is happening. The defensive assignments in the defensive zone are usually determined by the order in which you arrive back in the zone. So if Hull hangs out of the neutral zone with Duchesne, that means that another North Star forward has to go back in deep with the rush. When Hull sees that, if he drags Gaetan Duchesne all the way to the net, then all of a sudden there are 2 Minnesota forwards back in there. There are also 2 Minnesota defensemen. That's 4 guys. That leaves one of Bob Gainey's guys out of the points to cover, well, a couple of defensemen, a couple of point men. And in that way, it's a real situation that has to be read by the guys away from the shadow.
Duchesne and Hull were together there for a moment. Now the North Stars having a bit of a conference. And Shakty breaks that up, and Duchesne will resume his position near Hall.
See, on this faceoff, Duchesne has to actually go out to number 21, Jeff Brown. That's his usual assignment, but it'll change. He'll stay with Brett Hall. Well, there's Brown wide open.
That one blocked away by Casey. And Craig is there. Gave it up for Brindamore. Brindamore backhanded one that's kicked aside by Tenorti. Everyone looking for it. Tenorti couldn't play. Brown could and fires. And that deflected into the seats as Kurt Giles sprawled to the ice.
See, Minnesota was a little confused on their faceoff. I think Neil Broughton was discussing with Gaetan Duchesne who was going to go to Jeff Brown. Well, nobody ended up going to Jeff Brown, and when he ended up getting the draw, the shot came. But look at Brett Hall now in deep. Gaetan Duchesne is in there. That means Neil Broughton should have covered from him out near the point. And in general, the North Stars did recover. Sooner or later, if you have enough time, you can recover. But to try to sort out the man-to-man coverages, it takes a few seconds at times, and those are the few seconds that St. Louis really needs to capitalize on.
Brown with a shot and a good pad stop by Casey, and then he jabbed it away. It is Tenorti, nearly run into by Chase after he released that one to Giles. Bobby Smith starts it on for Gavin, but it's taken over by Jeff Brown and laying it back up for Brindamore. Knocked loose by Gavin. So Chase shifts it on back for Stevens, then across to Brown. 17:40 to go, third period. Game tied at 2. North Stars lead the series 1-0. Hull couldn't reach that pass from Brindamore. Brindamore behind, comes to the front. A drive by Stevens went wide. Punch to the corner by Brown. Behind with it is Brindamore. Wants some room. Brindamore peeling off to the slot. A shot. Caught and held by Casey.
You talk about having faith in the guys around you. John Casey just zeroed in on Brindamore and decided to come rocketing out to cut down the angle with people on both sides of him. I mean, that means his coverage has to be tight. This pass just missed Brett Hall, and as soon as it missed him, Brian Glynn put the big bear hug on him. I wondered if he was going to pass him off to Gavin. That never happened. Down went Hall, and finally Brindamore ended up with the puck, and since Hall didn't get it, he just decided to tie up Stu Gavin. See him screening out Gavin for Brindamore? But look at John Casey. Brian Glynn was in behind him. Scott Stevens was standing there. When Casey comes out, he's saying, okay, Brian, you better have your man, because I'm going after mine.
Well, Hall and Brindamore just had a couple of words, and Hall with a good tap of Brindamore on the helmet. Trying to get things set here. Made a change. Brindamore has come off now. Lowry and Paul Cavallini will be up front with Oates for the faceoff. Rich Sutter comes back out, and Gavin does too.
Well, Stu Gavin, I think, was going for a change to allow Dave Gagne to come on. Bill McCreary decided they were taking too much time on the change, and now Rich Sutter's got a problem as well. Little cat and mouse going on now because Brian Sutter's really trying to get Brett Hall out there and or Adam Oates at different times against different people. Oates is out there now centering Dave Lowry and Richie Sutter. And it looks like Gagne won't be allowed out, so Modano's actually going to be forced to take this draw. He's a center by trade, but he's played right wing the second half of the season. But as soon as they get a chance, they'll get Gagne out there. The North Stars will.
Meanwhile, Hull left the ice and waits his time to come back on. 17:15 to go in the third. If you're just joining us, the game is tied at 2. Minnesota outscoring St. Louis 2-1 in the first, and the Blues tying it on one that went off one of the North Stars on a St. Louis power play in the second. Moving ahead with this now is Gagne. Wrists one to the corner. First one back, Rich Sutter. Jammed it along the boards behind. Moving to that is Mike Modano, locked up with Paul Cavallini. A backhander wedged wide by Gagne. This one laid back on now for Rich Sutter. Flipped one that went off Gagne. Trying to finesse in is Oates, but that didn't pan out. So it's Brian Glynn to take over on defense and just lift it back. Butcher chops it back along, and up with it is Oates. Right in his shadow was Hull. The pass came across to Modano. Nice little shuffle move, and he takes his own pass and cranks one. And that one bowled Riendo over, but he blocked it. 16:20 to go in the third. The teams are at full strength. Dahlquist wedged out. Moving in as Paul Cavallini has a man in front, Lowry. And the pass floated by him and behind. To the corner now it is Bobby Smith. Stepped in two from behind by Lowry. Two aside, continue the battle of the boards, and then Smith comes from behind Lowry and knocks him down. Play stopped. A little discussion near the front of the net too, but we're still tied at 2 in the third period.
When sports...
Los Angeles, Kevin Lowe back on the ice for Edmonton. Gives the puck away to Luc Robitaille. Grant Fuhr makes the save. He's goaltending, but Todd Elliott gets the goal 13 seconds in. 1-0 Kings.
Here, a lot of people were watching the action in the corner. Bobby Smith and Dave Lowry were involved. Ooh, that's a big hit by Bobby Smith. I was watching what was going on in front of the net. Watch the front of the net. Brett Hall moves to the front with Stu Gavin, but watch John Casey, the North Stars goalie, right here. Crunch right in the back of Hall's leg near the ankle. So one of the linesmen had to go over and separate them while Dave Lowry and Bobby Smith were going at it in the corner. Tough day at the office, isn't it, when you've got Stu Gavin and Gaetan Duchesne hanging all over you and John Casey decides to cut you off at the ankles.
Smith and Lowry for unsportsmanlike conduct. Those penalties cancel. One change if you're keeping score on the Brind'Amour goal, and a right change it is. When it goes off a player from the other team, it becomes an unassisted tally, and initially they'd handed out assists to Oates and Hall. So Brind'Amour's goal, unassisted at 6:35. That's the most recent one in this game. Just over 16 minutes to play in the third period. It's tied at 2. Teams are at full strength. Pivoting and yanked down was Broughton that time. A diving play by Tenorti. Sprawling to the ice, Gino Cavallini. Puck dealt along the boards, and Gavin locks up with one of the Blues. That's Basson across the way. Still they scramble for it, and it's off Harold Sneps, but taken by Bellows and thrown right back at Sneps. Harold Sneps dumps it in and then is really worked over by Tenorti in front of the Minnesota bench. And now Kimball says, do you want to go? Meanwhile, ahead with the puck comes Gavin. Gavin trying to get away from Mahar. Feeds for Bellows, and he fanned on the shot. And the net dislodged behind goalkeeper Vincent Riendo, and we get a stoppage of play.
Brian Bellows is in a ton of pain. I think he was slashed just when he was letting it go. He couldn't even get back up to his feet. That's why the net is off. See Bellows limping? It's heating up here, folks. Tenorti and Harold Sneps went at it. There's Bellows and Kimball now. Kimball decided to take a swan dive, but I doubt that he'd draw one by himself. Stu Gavin, brilliant pass. Beautiful. Back to Brian Bellows and his shot. Yet Gino Cavallini caught him on the outside of the ankle. Look at Bellows fold up. Getting a little chippy here. You got to know one of those stick infractions. If McCreary sees it, he's going to call it.
What you saw a moment ago involving Kimball and one of the North Stars, Bill McCreary was busy dealing with something else and did not see. So nothing will come in the way of penalties on this. The faceoff will be back at center ice because it was a North Star that caused the net to be dislodged. And all of this with 15:23 to go. Early in a series that is maturing very fast, at least in terms of animosity. Now Rick Mahar comes off, as you see Neil Broughton close up. Broughton is the guy who's had one of the best chances until Bellows to break the tie. Broughton hit the post in the second period, and Bellows did not get a shot away here in the third. Won cleanly by Broughton. Kurt Giles up with it, walks it right in, but passed too far for Bellows. Bellows worked on by Harold Sneps behind the net. The two of them spin around and still have an exchange as it's laid back out by Quinn. Oh, and he was hit high and hard by Gavin. Now moving in is Brind'Amour, and he goes down, gets up to play it again. To Sneps with a shot. That went off some skates, and sliding out was Casey. It spun back off the boards and back down. Oh, this thing is really starting to get rough.
But McCreary's not calling anything.
It's bordering on getting out of control now as moving in is Oates. Drops it back. Brind'Amour, a shot, and that deflected away by Casey to the outside of the goal. Now Stevens, a shot deflected by Dahlquist to the corner. Dahlquist hit high and hard that time by Chase. They flop around. Meanwhile, moving it up is Modano. Brind'Amour across. Chase glared at Dahlquist this time. And we get a halt to play as the whistle blown, and Bill McCreary will call a penalty, or maybe penalties now. We'll get the calls. Bellows with 14:31 to go in the third period. Play is stopped and the game tied at 2.
Brian Bellows has been jammed into the boards head first a couple of times tonight. He's been slashed in the ankle. Picked up an unsportsmanlike penalty right here, though. And the only penalty called against the North Stars. John Casey realized when he came out he had two guys in green in front of him, Gavin and Bellows. So he went for that save, jumping out. But Brian Bellows off for unsportsmanlike conduct at 5:29 of the third. That red-hot Blues power play that scored one in the second is out there now.
And the fans are standing. Hall nudges it in, and it's cleared with authority by Chambers. 14:20 to go in the third. Power play has begun here for St. Louis. It's their 5th of the game, but trouble, and so Riendeau has to spear it away from Gavin. Gavin along the boards tangles with Tomlinson. Paul Cavallini able to steal it away. Rips it back across for Jeff Brown to control and start to move it back. Brown drills one along the wall. It skipped away from the reach of Casey. Tomlinson there, but Hall with it. Feeds one in front, and Gavin was right on Oates to deny him a chance. Now it's Brown with it. Yanks it behind for Oates. Looks for Tomlinson to the back to Hall. Brett Hall waiting. Cavallini, a shot deflected right on Casey, and he made the save. Cleared off Hall and back out. 1:10 to go on the power play. Hall hands across for Tomlinson, then on for Adam Oates. Quickly it comes to Hall. Fires, blocked down by Tenorti. And it's brought back out by Chambers. Jeff Brown able to peel away as Mark Tenorti dropped in front of a Brett Hall shot.
Gave Brett Hall right there, wanted the puck. Bill McCreary, oh man, tough break. I'll tell you what, when your power play is struggling as it is, that pass was coming right for Brett Hall, and Bill McCreary, the referee, crossed right in front of him as he was about to pick up the pass.
On the resulting icing, while the Blues are on the power play, all the way back it'll come. They always want the officials to stay close to the boards, but sometimes when play develops there, you just wind up in the road.
Talking about winding up in the road, how big a block was that by Mark Tenorti? The Blues finally had some room. Adam Oates bought some time, dumped it back to Brett Hall. Super block by Tenorti.
The sing-song chant of the crowd is Casey, Casey. He's the Minnesota goalkeeper who has faced 25 shots, 6 in this period, and only yielded 2 goals. It's tied at 2, 13 minutes, 10 seconds to go in the third. Blues still have 40 seconds to go on their power play. To the corner is Quinn. Along the boards, down goes Adam Oates. Puck flipped back out, and Paul Cavallini will have to regroup and neutralize with Brown. Work back for more time and more space for Cavallini to get things cranked up. Paul Cavallini glides ahead. Watched tightly by Duchesne. Flips one along. Duchesne moves right on Hall. Dump behind. Good rock to the boards by Dahlquist on Quinn. It's played to Brown. Fires, and that block loose. Loose puck fed off by Dahlquist. Able to take it again as Adam Oates once more. Then to Brown. Corners it, but misses for Quinn, but it kicks around to Hall. Then to the back, Cavallini, a shot! And that one blocked down by Dahlquist ahead for a breakaway by Bellows, but he couldn't control it. Blocked away by Riendeau. Bellows able to play it in the corner, feeds one, and Riendeau recovered with a stick as he moved back to the crease. Full strength, both teams. Puck to Hall. Feeds one that's tapped away by Casey. Punched along to Oates. Feed for Hall. Wrapped up. A shot, a save. Rebound, score!
Of Brett Hall do you have to have tied up to stop him? 100%. And the North Stars didn't. Brilliant perseverance by Brett Hall. A great transition to a shooting position for Oates. Look at that, off the skate, and then off the backhand to the forehand. Sharpest angle you could imagine. He had to put it in off the far post. Bingo. The St. Louis Blues dynamic duo of Hall and Oates teamed up now and lead the North Stars 3-2. Brett Hall had Dahlquist all over him. I mean, he was right on his back. But everybody that's decided they were going to try to stop Brett Hall will tell you, if you don't have his stick, and 100% of it, you don't have him at all.
Oates from Hull and Brown at 7:55. Hull getting a breather at the bench. John Casey doing the very same. Midway in the third, the house in Oakland of St. Louis is rocking. 3-2 the home team. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Planning. Where to get the capital to start this business with my daughter? By investing for the long haul. And forget full commission brokers. I call Charles Schwab. Munis, mutual funds, blue chips, and I save plenty with Schwab's low commissions. Every day I tell my daughter, think long term. Make your own decisions. Be your own man.
For a free Schwab Fact Kit, call toll-free 800-841-0300.
Remember the save that Vincent Riendeau made. That will be a huge one. As Bellows came out of the penalty box, Riendeau came out, poke-checked him, scrambled back in after stopping the first one, got the second one as well.
Back to play. The North Stars are behind now for the first time in this series. Moving on with it is Mike Modano. A pass over for Prop. Shuffles one to the corner. First one in is Gagne. Gagne centered one off of Riendeau in front, and it bounced over for Scott Stevens. Basson hit high and hard by Dahlquist, and the same came for Lowry, and that courtesy of Brian Glenn. Puck along off of Prop, chopped back in by Butcher. Big Mark Tenorti goes back to get it for the North Stars. 8 shots St. Louis, 3 Minnesota in this period. The Blues with 27 shots to the North Stars 17. Stick broken by Kelly Chase, and so he's retrieved another one quickly and goes back for another joust at Dave Gagne. Prop does too, and a crowd gathers and play is halted.
You know, how tough is it to stay nasty and also stay disciplined? Two of the key words in the vocabularies of coaches Sutter and Gainey. And at this stage of a 3-2 game, how serious would a penalty be for either of these teams? And yet you don't want to take a backward step.
3-2 St. Louis midway in the third. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Get ready to launch yourself into the world of Air and Space Smithsonian, a world that captivates the imagination. Satellites, superjets, soaring, something different every other month. There's no other magazine like Air and Space, and with your subscription comes membership in the National Air and Space Museum in Washington.
To order Air and Space, call 800-841-0300 and receive a full year. 6 issues for just $18 with membership in the National Air and Space Museum. 800-841-0300.
You know, the Minnesota North Stars had not trailed in a hockey game for the last 5 games, including this one. First time they have trailed since way back when in the Chicago series.
Harold snaps, ladles it back in deep. Casey sets it up. Brian Glenn there, forced off by the checking of Basson. Glenn recovers, though, and plays it up for Duchesne. 11 minutes left here in the third period. Gaetan Duchesne, with his team trailing by 1, shuffles it to the corner. Snaps there, gave it up to Duchesne. Hit, though, by Featherstone, then pulled by Featherstone. Puck off the boards, Lowry. Floats one that will careen back out to center ice for Glenn. Rips it back in. Delayed offside is wiped as the North Stars clear the zone. Blues able to play it back, and Harold Snaps lugs it ahead off of Oates' stick. Played by Mike Craig, just dishes it on back for Dahlquist. Circle to Glenn. In the midst of a change, fresh from the bench, Mark Bureau, but he couldn't control, and Oates just lofts it back, gloved down by Dahlquist. The Blues are splendid when they have a lead. They haven't had this one for very long, but it's new to them in this series. Adam Oates tries to put a move on Dahlquist, able to shake to the corner, centered one, and ridden off the play from behind was Garth Butcher by Bureau. Butcher gets up high and hard on Basil McRae. Stoppage of play. And the net dislodged behind John Casey. I didn't notice it at all, but apparently was just up enough that they felt there was a danger of it coming loose, so the play is stopped once again.
I think Basil knows when the linesmen take off for the net or take off for other areas of the ice from where he is standing, because he got right into it with Garth Butcher. But now St. Louis can go into a defensive mode that is very hard to penetrate. The North Stars now have to be careful to dump and chase. The Blues are going to have 4 guys back in the neutral zone. They'll probably have token pressure forechecking. First man pressure, if they can establish it, they'll go ahead with it. But they'll fall back with 4 men in the neutral zone. Very hard to make any plays on the rush. Watch this stop and go move. Stop, go, whoop. Chris Dahlquist just about lost him. Good recovery by Dahlquist, though. And how could Oates see Garth Butcher? I couldn't even see him from here. He found him, though.
John Casey didn't see that shot by Paul Cavallini until it had whizzed by either, but it was wide. Mark Tenorti got help from Churla to spin it back in. Garth Butcher back to play it for the Blues on defense. Under 10 minutes to play here in the third period. A shot by Churla went wide, and Butcher scooped it back out, so the North Stars will go back to play. Chris Dahlquist, acquired by the team early in the year from the Pittsburgh Penguins, watches this play develop on his pass from Caburo, and he just dropped it back in deep. Riendo able to spike this one behind. Mahar swings it around the boards. Churla right there to cut it off, but missed for Basil McRae. Mahar with a pass that's deflected. Right back it comes to him. He tries again. Gets Gino Cavallini for the flip that's kept. Chambers a shot. Oh, and that one a scorcher that went wide. Around the boards, cleared back out again. Headed back to play it is Chambers. Both teams making full-scale changes. Chambers able to move on. Pulls away from the checking of Quinn. Chambers poked at by Sutter, but keeps going and turned it right in on goal. Riendo flopping for a moment, but grabs it with the glove and hangs on.
After a couple of the scares that Vincent Riendo has had, you can't blame him for stopping play right here in the third period. 8:54 to go. But while the North Stars won't have much room rushing in the neutral zone, if they can get their D-men up on the play, and that's something they've concentrated on doing here, and this time Chambers was able to penetrate, you can usually create an overload situation on one side at least if you can get a defenseman into the play. The problem with it defensively is that you leave yourself wide open for the counterattack, especially if a guy like Brett Hull and Adam Oates are out there. And Oates is out there now with Rich Sutter on one side and Tomlinson on the other side. With a 3-2 lead, I'm not sure that we'll see Oates and Hull together that much more. The Blues have enough goals to win. They give up something defensively when Oates and Hull are out there together. So we'll have to wait and see.
Oates there right now for the face-off with Bobby Smith. Jeff Brown plays it behind, dumps it off for Tomlinson, can't get it out. Chambers kept it to the corner. Bobby Smith goes after it. 2 Blues and 1 North Star, and then another comes by. Stevens behind the net, dueled with Gavin. Away with it is Bellows. Hacks one, and that one went wide. There'll be a penalty coming up. Puck tapped back up by Sutter, and he touched it, and the whistle was blown, so this is going to be a St. Louis penalty, and Minnesota, trailing by 1, will have a chance to knot it on the power play with 8:32 to go in the third. St. Louis 3.
Back Adam Graves over to Kevin Lowe back in the Oiler lineup, and Kelly Rudy just whiffs right through his legs. Oilers and Kings are tied at 1. Back to Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
Well, Jeff Brown is off for holding here. It got to be a boards battle in tight, and Brown was basically hanging on for dear life. Boy, at one point you've got to release, and Jeff Brown simply didn't, so he is off for holding at 11:28 of the third.
Neil Broughton can't find an opening, plays it across for Gagne, flips one that Scott Stevens knocks down and chops on back. So the game out west is tied at 1 in the first period. The Edmonton Oilers and Los Angeles Kings, and the Oilers seeking to avoid having to play overtime after playing 3 consecutive overtime games and losing a pair of them. Lowry chops this one back in. They just want to win it clean out there. Tom Webster, the Los Angeles coach, says the series will go 7. See what happens here. North Stars trying to get back into a tie. They had the lead in this game twice. But St. Louis tied midway in the second, and then Adam Oates on a rebound of a shot by Hull. Jeff Brown also assisting at 7:55, put the Blues ahead. 18,051 watching our game tonight here from the arena in St. Louis. Offside call. And so a face-off at center ice with 1:05 still for the Blues to kill. Earlier in the game
I mentioned the straight blades that both John Casey and Vincent Riendeau have to use because they have to switch hands. Here's Casey set up to shoot right, and you can see that he's shooting with the side of the stick that's against his toes most of the time. There he switches back and goes into his normal position. Chicago Blackhawks, he was telling me this morning, actually did try to dump it in from his left so that he couldn't dump it back around that way. Hasn't really picked up a pattern from St. Louis yet in this series.
Here's Broughton spinning halfway through the North Stars' 5th power play. They're empty on the previous 4. Modano will have to go back. Modano and Broughton, Bobby Smith, as well as Propp and Bellows. Those are the 5 that Bob Gainey has out there. Bobby Smith ahead. Hands over for Modano. Cranks a shot, and that one smothered by Stevens. Rebound popped into the glove of Garth Butcher. Can't clear it out. A keep by Broughton. A follow-up by Modano, and Broughton with it. Neil Broughton takes a look. Deals it off to Smith. Tried to center one, but that blocked by Stevens. And Stevens can follow up and carry it back out. One-on-one with Modano back. Scott Stevens wants to go by. Lost it off his stick and then bumped into Casey. Meanwhile, the North Stars try to clear. Can't. Basson deals for Stevens. Canceled out by Broughton. 12 seconds left, and a good kill by the St. Louis Blues and a chance or two. Now Bellows with a pass across 2 lines, and that stopped the clock with 7 seconds still remaining on the minor to Jeff Brown. And again, a standing ovation here from the fans at St. Louis Arena.
I think most of it has to be for Scott Stevens. Boy, oh boy, the tougher the game gets, the longer the game gets, the longer the shift gets. Scott Stevens keeps getting better as all of those other things are happening. What a block. 2 North Stars in front. Now, Stevens wasn't enough that he blocked it. He got up, charged out of the zone, and went one-on-one with Mike Modano. Came very close to getting around him. Modano played him pretty well, but here Stevens trying to cut in. John Casey, look at him choke up on the stick and get aggressive on Scott Stevens.
North Stars win the faceoff. Glenn hands it back across for the carry back out by Sean Chambers. Glove down by Harold Snepps. Turns it the other way to Oates. Fresh from the box is Brown, but the pass misfired. Snepps tries it again. Nice control by Brown. Tomlinson across to Oates. Flips back for Tomlinson across to Brown. He scores!
Is a 2-goal lead with 6:19 to go in the 3rd. Look at Jeff Brown get up on the play with Dave Tomlinson. Brown had confidence that somebody was going to cover back on the blue line for him, and they did. Chambers couldn't get back. A couple of North Stars caught up, and you can see that Chambers never should have pinched up there for the North Stars. 3 Blues were in his face, and when he went up, he got jammed, boy, and he got caught up there. Tomlinson with a perfect slide pass over to Brown, and the Blues have a 2-goal lead.
Brown gets his 3rd. Tomlinson and Oates the assists at 13:41. After some skepticism following the opening game loss, there's a little more optimism that they may see still another game back here at least. Minnesota ahead in the series 1-0, but trailing in this game now by 2 goals. 6:05 left in the 3rd. The Blues lead is 4-2. They've outshot the North Stars 9-5 in this 3rd period. Puck punched away by Tomlinson, fed over by Casey. Dahlquist recovers to turn it back up for Gagne. Dave Gagne shovels to the corner. Tomlinson back to take it. Took a hit from Gavin. Puck spun by Gagne, but picked off by Sutter. Lays it ahead for Adam Oates. One-on-one with Dahlquist. Oates tries to fidget his way through. Spun around, and hanging on to the loose puck is John Casey. With 5:35 to go in the 3rd, Blues leading 4-2.
Let's take off our sneakers and get comfortable.
Uh-oh, sneaker odor.
Let's go to the movies.
Tame ferocious sneaker odor with Sneaker Tamers from Odor Eaters. Springy insoles with activated charcoal, the world's most powerful odor destroyer. Sneaker Tamers has it. Scholl's doesn't. Sneaker Tamers absorb sweat, destroy sneaker odor, guaranteed for the life of your sneakers.
No more sneaker odor.
Sneaker Tamers from Odor Eaters.
The Blues have simply refused to be denied here. They started strong, and they've been strong all game long. Adam Oates, when he makes his one-on-one move, watch him. He gets one body part by you at a time. And finally, in desperation, he actually had a chance at sticking that one by Casey, believe it or not.
Casey with an equipment problem. Ted Sater, assistant coach at Boston, said this is a game where first to 4 wins, so we charted it for the whole year. And those numbers show you the Blues have never lost all year long, regular season or playoffs, when they have been the first team to get to 4. They're at 4 now. Sneps wanted to make it 5, but his shot sailed wide. Picked up now by Basil McRae. McRae flops one back to the corner. Out of his net to get it and force it off high was Riendeau, but it squibbed right over for Churla. Spun back off by Featherstone. Waiting for it is Chambers. Chambers dumps it along. It's sent to the corner. Basil McRae there. Tied up by Sneps. Bureau in, but right on him is Dan Quinn. Quinn able to strip it away, and some more room for Quinn to dump it off for Brindamore, but he missed for him. Brian Glynn lays it across. Sent back in by Chambers, then he stepped into by Gino Cavallini. The Blues following right through on their checks. 4:45 to go in the third. St. Louis ahead 4-2. All the way over the end line for an icing touch-up, and the faceoff will be back near Riendeau. With 4:39 to go in the third, Riendeau will face a faceoff when we come back.
For the first time in history, the compact pickup ranked most trouble-free was also ranked highest in truck customer satisfaction. Mazda, a truck so tough, we guarantee it long enough for a trip around the world. Twice. Mazda trucks, guaranteed tough.
It just feels right.
Vincent Riendeau celebrating his 25th birthday, and he was just saluted during the last stoppage of play by another standing ovation, and this time all the crowd rose to salute him. Off the face-off scrum, down in a heap is Gagne. Gets up to control over to Tenorti. Tenorti forced right off. Good, strong play by Scott Stevens. Dahlquist wheels back to play it. Spins it on for Brian Propp. Flips one over the shoulder of Brown, but he's right back to get it again. Jeff Brown with the big goal right now, but that off a glass support. Flipped ahead for Hall, but that one spun by him all the way down. Casey with a pass ahead for Dahlquist. Dahlquist laying it across for Dave Gagne to rush on. Just over 4 minutes to play. Gagne drops back over for Glenn. Glenn flips a backhander in front off of Riendeau, and it's brought right back up ice by Basson. Headman's for Hall, but it's swept away by Glenn. Big Brian Glenn motoring ahead. Ran into Stevens, and the puck taken by now the helmetless Brian Propp. Chambers able to step back in, but an offside was called. And now Chambers getting up and moving into a pile.
Well, Scott Stevens on that play said, look, there was an offside, there was a whistle, but if you're going to keep coming, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear it either. Man, did he ever crunch Chambers. Brian Glenn has turned into a forward here to try to get things going. A little confusion between Brett Hall and Scott Stevens. There's Hall catching up to his man late. So when the play turned around, Hall wanted it so bad right there. Basson didn't get it to him, and the North Stars broke it up in the neutral and came back again on them when Chambers got crunched by Stevens.
Very calm, casual sort of guy, Vincent Riendeau. Same can be said for Bob Gainey, too, the coach of the Minnesota North Stars. But there's an intensity that belies what you might see when you talk with them between games on one of those days of practice. The intensity comes to the fore, certainly, but it has a restraint about it, too, a control.
Just the way he played. And Brian Sutter used to lose it when he played. I mean, Brian Sutter was all fire on the ice, and you can see that behind the bench. Their temperaments are very similar to the styles that they, emotional styles at least, that they had when they played.
Well, Adam Oates and Bobby Smith will be in for this faceoff with 3:47 to go in the third period. The North Stars have to get 2 to force overtime. Back it comes for Butcher. Paddles it on back, and so coming across is Chambers. Right after him, Rich Sutter, so he has to hurry it. Got it right on the money to Tenorti. That one blocked off by Oates. Tenorti follows up, but Oates patrols and just lays it back out once more. Chambers pursued by Tomlinson, unable to strip him of it. On for Bobby Smith. The North Stars had 2 guys breaking, but Smith was tested by Paul Cavallini, and Casey forces it all the way down. No icing on this. Fans don't like that. 3:15 to go here in the third. Butcher connects with Rich Sutter, and Sutter will carry it back out. A pass up for Tomlinson. Closing is Chambers, and the shot sailed against the glass. Rich Sutter drops it to the corner, but ahead with this now is Chambers rushing once more. Sean Chambers pops one to the corner. Riendo goes way out of his goal to get this. Turned it right back into the traffic. Has to move back to the crease himself as the puck popped behind. Paul Cavallini has to raggedly hurry with it. Connects with brother Gino. Then Gino rushed into by Chambers, and again the battle continues. Rich Sutter pivoting with this and starts it back for St. Louis. Sutter's pass tipped loose at the line. And an offside is called with 2:35 left to go in the third.
You got to know Gino Cavallini will take an offside there. He wanted one. Surprised it wasn't even considered an intentional offside.
Boy, Gino and Paul Cavallini are certainly popular guys here in St. Louis. They play this game hard, and they just work like crazy out there. Gino Cavallini, a product of Bowling Green State University, was a part of a national championship team there in 1984.
He's had to play some tonight, too, with Brett Hall and with Adam Oates. Yesterday we talked to him about playing with them. Asked him if he had to change his game. He said, yeah, you bet. I just can't dump it in and chase the way I normally do. Adam wants it when we come through the neutral zone. I got to give it to him.
Scott Stevens, captain of the Blues, hands on for Brown, then on for Basson. Basson chopped at by Modano, and this one swept loose. He still tries to fight toward it and went down on a hold from Dahlquist, and play moved on now to Brian Propp. 2:15 to go in regulation time. Minnesota trailing by 2. Stevens hacks one around the glass, and this one popped into about the second row of seats. So once more, there'll be a face-off, and again, this one will be back in the Scott Stevens area, defensive end of the St. Louis zone.
Such a bonus to have a guy with Scott Stevens' stamina at this stage of a game. I mean, you can load it on. You can keep him out there for 6 of the last 7 minutes of a real tough hockey game.
This is it. Need 2 with 2:10 to go. They're going to pull John Casey and go with 6. And the 6 for Minnesota will be Bobby Smith and Brian Bellows and Neil Broughton, Dave Gagne, Mike Modano, and Mark Tenorti. Judging from Tenorti's position on this faceoff, he'll be the guy that'll head to the front of the net and try to cause a lot of problems for that man, Vincent Riendo. Now the Blues will defend with Brett Hall. Brett Hall, who all season long, out of 86 goals, and in the playoffs he has had 8, hasn't scored into the empty net. May not get a chance here. He came toward the bench, but he's going to be left back out. Brian Sutter just wanted to give him some more instruction. Mahar and Basson and Butcher and Stevens, along with Hall, those are the Blues.
I'm trying to figure out what kind of signal Brett Hall is giving there, other than doing the breaststroke.
Well, if we received a signal like that, we'd know to talk longer. That's the old commercial stretch, isn't it?
I think he wants to know if once they get the puck out of the zone, if he wants him to come off the ice or simply stay out for the length of the shift.
Chase pounding the boards at the St. Louis bench, trying to get some change in the St. Louis alignment. Bill McCreary wants the game to go on, and the Blues still don't seem to be happy with the way this is set up. Off the tie-up, puck fed to Bellows, fires, and that one's saved by Riendo. Riendo rebound, trickled on back, and Bellows kept it alive. Dumps it off the boards. Behind it came, away from Smith, but in to get it Modano. Hit hard by Basson. Can't clear it out. A keep by Dahlquist. They keep the pressure on Gagne. Behind to Smith. Centered one. Forced off by Basson. Ahead to Hull. Hull moving back out. Down to the ice he goes. Mahar went wide with the shot. North Stars take it in stride. Gagne had it blocked away by Hull. Hull taken down by Gagne. Play continues and Modano behind. Shuffles it back off to Tenorti. 90 seconds to go. The North Stars have to get two. Stolen by Stevens. Drive, and that one blocked away by Chambers. Sean Chambers over. Hands it on to Broughton. Broughton spinning with it. Gives it off for Tenorti to carry. 1:15 to go. Blasted back around by Bobby Smith. Kicks off of Modano's stick. Hull trying to force it out. Can't do it. Good keep by Glenn. Modano hands over to Bellows. Bellows back to Modano. Centered one in front, and it just deflected wide by Broughton. To the back to Smith with 1 minute to go now. Back over for Bellows. A drive, and that blocked away. Butcher chopped it along. The North Stars go after it, and it's shuffled high by Hull. Back into the Minnesota end and a race on for it. Bellows will get there ahead of Oates. Drills it back off the boards, and Brian Glenn just shuffles it on. Sutter tried to get it, couldn't. Glenn has to go back. 40 seconds to play. Brian Glenn flips one along. Fanning on it was Lowry. Bellows sets it up for Bobby Smith. Tries for McCray. That didn't work. The North Stars have to regroup at center ice. Bellows chopped it along. Scott Stevens up with it. Fires, and it went wide. 23 seconds to go. The feed to Sutter. He scores! And Basil McCray right on him after he'd scored it. And the first bit of scuffling that we've seen here. A lot of minors have been called, but Basil McCray just rocked Rich Sutter. After he'd scored the 5th goal that has put this one away.
But as soon as Richie Sutter had taken care of business, did he ever go after Basil McCray? Well, the outcome of this little battle won't matter a bit now. You could see the slash that McCray landed on Richie Sutter just when he was letting go of the shot. And stay there. Ray Scampanello slammed that door once he got Rich Sutter off. I'll tell you about Scott Stevens and his stamina. He has been out there for 2 solid minutes of non-stop play. It's a long time. All of the forwards went off for a change, but Scott Stevens stayed. Garth Butcher stayed. They've logged 2 solid minutes of ice time here. And more now.
Yeah. One by one, they have to be gotten somewhere, and unless there's an outstanding minor, likely once they get them to the box, they may try to single-handedly get them off because things are heating up for the possibility of an incident at the end of the game. Even though the officials keep the players at the benches and send one team off first, this is one of the rare situations where the benches have to really cross one another. The players have to leave at an opposite end and go right by the visitors.
Number 23, Rich Sutter, 2 minutes for roughing. Time of the penalties, 19:41.
Basil McCray gets a minor for roughing.
St. Louis goal, his 4th of the playoffs, scored by number 23, Rich Sutter. Assisted by number 28, Bob Basson.
Oh, we're picking up the calls. Let's pause for a moment and join our studios.
Sutter assisted by...
In Los Angeles, Edmonton gets a goal. Adam Graves over to Anatoly Semenov. Semenov will grab control of the puck with Kelly Hrudey out of position. And a goal to Martin Jelena, his 2nd of the playoffs.
Sutter his 4th into an empty net from Basson and Stevens. McCray got a slashing and a roughing minor. Sutter roughing only.
The one thing that Brian Sutter demanded of Brett Hull tonight was that he forced the Minnesota North Stars to work. them very closely. Adam Oates has as well. It hasn't been easy for Oates and Hall tonight. They've had to work for absolutely everything that they've achieved. They've done it in the likeness of their coach, Brian Sutter's style. Boy, oh boy, that was Brian Sutter. Not too many things came easy to him, but he was able to accumulate over 40 goals twice in his career. Brett Hall, with his 86 this season, had to work hard to do that. I don't care how much skill you have, what kind of release, what kind of shot. I think we've seen Brett Hall's work ethic at its best tonight.
The Blues have a power play here for the last 19 seconds of the tilt on the extra minor to Basil McRae. You may notice some empty seats now. There weren't any earlier. Some of the fans have headed to the parking lot early. Not that many, really. The rest will stay around for the final shouting. And this series will go at least 5. But it will shift to North Star territory for the next 2.
Bill McCreary's forcing somebody to get over into the box from the North Stars bench, and Bob Gainey sending Mike Modano over.
These games in Minnesota will be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Monday and Wednesday. All over but the shouting and some singing. So we'll let you listen to it. Well, here we go again. Shane Churla.
Darren Kimball.
These guys have done it before.
Yikes. You want to go with the lefts? Churla says, okay, we'll go with the lefts. Kimball says, you want to go with the lefts? We'll go with the rights.
Oh, man.
Boy, oh boy, it's times like this I'm glad I'm sitting here. Kind of useless, though. This baby is over. Has been over for the last 10 minutes. Well, that's what you call going toe-to-toe, folks.
Stars, while this is going on, are also congratulating Shane Churla. The message for Game 3 with the Knuckles late in Game 2. 5 seconds to go. Gets 5 for biting. Dan Shakty has a word there with Bill McCreary about something that he's seen. Kimball gets an instigator minor in a 5-minute fighting major. Excuse me, what were you going to say?
Big Harold Snepps has had a pretty solid hockey game. And boy, when the team has the lead, you'll see Harold out there. So as soon as the Blues took the lead, Big Harold, with his 16 years of experience, became a key guy. You won't see him when the Blues are behind. He doesn't generate much offense, but just happy to be in the lineup. Here's how they started. Stan Shakty figured that was more than a one-man job of getting in there between.
Gee, they wheeled right in and then eventually decided we'll let them go. The horn sounds. The series is now even.
see this series changing very much. The Minnesota North Stars forced the St. Louis Blues in their own building, again, to work harder, as hard as they have probably worked all season long to get a win. This is the hardest the Blues have had to work for a victory in the playoffs so far. They worked hard enough to get it.
Sutter, Brown, Oates, Brindamore, and Butcher. The goal scorers for St. Louis. Gavin and Bellows for Minnesota. The shots 30 for St. Louis, 22 for Minnesota. The Blues win the game 5-2 and even the series. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
We went to the fight capital of the world and asked the fans, who's the greatest heavyweight ever?
By far, it's Muhammad Ali.
Ripping punches, Muhammad Ali. The challenger goes down again.
Muhammad Ali.
Who's the heavyweight champion of the world?
Sports Illustrated presents Muhammad Ali, the video. See his pro debut, his fights with Liston, Foreman, Frazier, Spinks, and more. And the video is free with your paid subscription to SI.
Get it and find out who the greatest of all time is.
A short choosing right to the jaw. Liston goes down.
The man, he jabbed, body danced.
He float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Keep the camera moving because I'm kind of fast. A sharp right and only goes down.
It brought back memories, things I'd seen and hadn't seen. All the fights, all the interviews. Muhammad Ali, he took them all on.
Not in this one, Bombino. God's former Joe Frazier.
Naming the round and all that. People thought that was a fluke.
He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him himself.
You don't see boxers like that anymore.
And the Muhammad Ali video is free.
That video's free?
Can't be. How can it be free?
It's free when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated. Save over 50% off the cover price.
Oh, I go for it in a heartbeat. It's something to look into.
You'll get 23 issues, including the baseball preview and the swimsuit issue for 3 monthly installments of only $9.89. Or you can pay by credit card. So call now.
One of the greatest magazines that's been around this country since day one.
Kind of like Muhammad Ali. It gives you everything.
Come on, girl. We in Manila.
Lived great memories of the greatest champion ever.
To view the legend in the tape was fantastic.
People who never had seen Ali would love this tape.
Yes, I recommend it for anybody.
You can't walk away from this tape without being a Muhammad Ali fan.
I'm the king of the world. Hold it. You're not that pretty. I'm a bad man.
Call our toll-free number now and get knockout savings on Sports Illustrated and get the Muhammad Ali video free.
I shook up the world.
18,051 watch this contest tonight here at the arena in St. Louis. The final score turned out to be the St. Louis Blues 5 and the Minnesota North Stars with 2. What a solid finish for the St. Louis Blues, who you observed at the top really had to win this game to perpetuate honest hope for the series.
I think so. And anybody that didn't see this hockey game will see that score 5-2 and think that it was an easy game. But boy, if you were sitting there watching it at home, you know how hard the Blues had to fight to win this hockey game. The North Stars basically accomplished what they came here to accomplish, though, didn't they? They wanted at least a split here. That is always the goal. This would have been, in their wildest dreams, one of those huge bonuses had they been able to win this one. They forced St. Louis to work hard, but the Minnesota North Stars are generally going home with what they came here to get.
Absolutely. Normally, the St. Louis Blues do not go quietly in any series, but tonight Minnesota didn't either. There may have been a message in Basil McRae and Shane Churlin near the end, but also Minnesota didn't give up. They attacked pretty well in the last 2.5 when they had the goaltender pulled, but I think the key goal in the night came from Jeff Brownstick at the 13:41 mark. At this time, it was 3-2 St. Louis. This made it 4-2.
Well, you know, Mike, Minnesota was the team that we really thought would get their D-men up on the play very often to force St. Louis. But the St. Louis Blues countered with their defensemen getting up on the play because basically Brett Hull opened so many holes at different times in the hockey game, there were holes to move into. So Jeff Brown scored that goal, which was huge. But remember, the first goal of this hockey game was also scored from that very same range by Garth Butcher of the St. Louis Blues. So everybody was involved in the offense for St. Louis. Remember, Brett Hull said, and he told us, it's been in the papers here, it's been everywhere. He said, listen, if they're covering me that close, I'm going to do my job and work hard. Everybody else has to hit the holes and pick up the slack. Pretty well the Blues did that.
Yeah, they did. He'll be happy with this, even though he hasn't scored now in the first 2 games of this series, and that hasn't happened to him since
well, really back in 1990, except for the 2 games he missed with the ankle injury. He'll take this because he really drew Blues toward him all night long. Be interesting to see now what stacks up for the third. Riendo and Casey, probably the goaltenders again, you would have to think, and both of them strong tonight. I didn't really feel that Casey had that bad a game, even though he lost by 3.
No, I agree with you 100%. Keep in mind the St. Louis Blues, best road record in hockey. All right, they're going to Minnesota with that. They're also going to Minnesota with a power play that's been struggling. They got a gift of a power play goal here tonight, but it's much easier to get a power play going on the road than it is at home. For one thing, when the fans are cheering in Minnesota, it's a lot better than the fans booing in here. They might be cheering in Minnesota if the Blues power play bogs down, but still, it'll help the Blues.
So the final score in this contest, the St. Louis Blues, a winner by a score of 5-2. The series is now even at 1 victory apiece. Let's return now to our studios and Bob Papa.
Another excellent effort turned in by Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement. And for those of you who are watching the Blues and North Stars, just want to let you know that the Kings and Oilers are tied up at 2 apiece at the end of 1 period of play. More of the 1991 Stanley Cup playoffs after this timeout.